Okay, we're live. We're live. We're live. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Listen, my apologies for the Facebook technical difficulties, but you know what? We're here. We're live. We're live on YouTube. Thank you for being willing to come on over to YouTube. I'm also going to drop the link in on my YouTube. I mean, on my Facebook, so that people can just click the link and come on over to YouTube. Because I guess I wasn't free. I guess I wasn't free. And you know the irony of that, huh? In light of tonight's conversation, I guess I wasn't free. And once we realize, some of the things that we're still bound by, right? The free, it just looks different. The binding looks different, right? So a lot of people thinking they're free and they're not. Just like I just had to go through now to prove and to understand and learn and find out that I wasn't totally free. Tonight's conversation is going to be an essential one. Yay, welcome in, welcome in. Tonight's conversation is going to be an essential one. So I'm not even really surprised at the technical difficulty. So spare me, give me a second to kind of like move people over here just a little bit. But we're going to have this conversation. And she said, I finally found you. Welcome, girl. We glad you found us. Welcome. Yeah. And like I was just saying, maybe you're not as free as you thought you were. Or maybe I wasn't as free as I thought I was. And how many times does that continue to show up or has shown up in our community, in our culture, and then in our own human nature, thinking that we're free and we're really not. But we're about to have a very good conversation with somebody who understands exactly what I'm talking about. So if you have my YouTube link, go ahead and share that on your page. Also, go ahead and update your Facebook page. Now, if that's going to click you off of here, don't worry about it. Because listen, we rolling now. But go ahead and share this YouTube live. I'm already inviting people into the live from the YouTube space. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the link on my YouTube page so that grandma had called. Yes, you listen. I appreciate y'all looking for us, right? Because y'all know we should be over there by now. Y'all know we should be over there by now, and we would have been over there by now had I not been held hostage. However, however, however. However, guys, we're here. And Mr. Monger is backstage. And I'm gonna bring him up so we can have this conversation. We've already, what they say in the old Baptist church, time has been far well spent. Time has been far well spent. So we're gonna go ahead and bring him up so we can jump into this conversation. And so I appreciate everybody that, took the time to come on over to this space where we are. I am putting the information there, and then I'm going to put this phone down, and I'm going to be in this conversation with Dr. Monger here so we can get some questions answered and some things happening. Okay. And that's just going to be that on it. Question, phone up, fully present in the conversation. Check into the Light Room. I am Marquita Dorsey, mental health advocate and certified life coach. We are live in the Light Room on YouTube. I almost let my intrusive thoughts win just now. But the pastor's on here, my mama on here, so we're gonna act right. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring the pastor up so that I don't get myself in no trouble, right? Because I want to be free for real. I want to be fully free. Shout out to Facebook for putting me back in this space. I was like, I done lost my momentum, I done lost my energy, but you done triggered something in me. So I'm back. I'm back now. I'm gonna bring Dr. Monger on up here, and we're gonna have this conversation. So I'm glad you all checked in. Continue to drop your green hearts. We're gonna have this conversation right now. If I was at church, I'd be like, it ain't nobody but the devil. No, the devil trying to get in on us. That's okay. All things work together for the good. That's what I'm going to say. And I appreciate your patience and your diligence as we work through that. They told me I was going to be off restriction June 6th and I could go live. They didn't tell me when nobody going to be able to see it but me. When you think you're free, Pastor, when you think you free, okay, you need to go back sometime and check your notifications and see what else got you bound. Check your restrictions and see what else got you bound. You understand what I'm saying? They done upset me a little bit, but I'm gonna be present and be, open to my live conversation here. Welcome in, sir. Welcome to the light. Welcome back to the Light Room. First of all, you're not a stranger to the Light Room.
Yeah. And look, it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Okay, it's worth the wait.
That's it. That is it. And I appreciate that. And that's how we know it's gonna be good, right? You know, that's how you know when things gonna pop off and pop open and they're gonna be real good. So those of you that are watching the replay right now, thank you. Right. If you don't understand what happened, bless you. You didn't even want to be a part of this process. But we're here now. You're here now. Check in with your green hearts, whether this is the replay or you come in a little bit later. Whenever you see this, check in with your green heart. We're happy you're here. We're probably gonna be over here more. But I'm a walk and forget. No, I'm not. So Pastor Pastor Terrell, again, he is not new to the light room. He ain't Clayton Barksdale are my repeats, right? And right now, Pastor Clay done been in here 3 times. Clay done been in here 3 times. But you two were my most viewed podcast. And the reason he's been 3, because when he talked about the conversation last time, when he talked about the effects of fatherlessness in the Mississippi Delta, you know, the mamas had questions. So I had to bring him right on back. And then this time we did just a follow-up. So, but then too, you were dropping those relationship gems. And I'm telling you, I got a friend. Now, she ain't one for lives and things like that. But your live, she still talks about it to this day. So,
awesome.
Welcome back to the light room.
That means I got to go welcome for back. 4.
It's a competition. It's a competition. And I need both men to win.
Yeah, both of us win.
Both men to win. And that's what we do in the light room. Okay, we win. So thank you for your diligence, your patience, and your return. And your return to this space. I'm excited about this conversation. And anybody who knows me knows that Memphis is the second piece of my heart. I love me some Memphis, mine. Lived there twice, matter of fact. I got babies there now. So Memphis has a special place for me. So we're gonna talk a lot about Memphis, right? Because that's your community, that's our community. You were born and raised there. You know, I lived there and I grew up professionally there. I'm telling you, a lot of my now professionalism, I came there and I remember my client saying, "Doris, you have to go back to Mississippi with all that soft stuff." So they got me together. They got me together and got me right. So now I'm out here in Texas with a little bit of professionalism and a little bit of Memphis mind. And I'm okay with that. Okay, I'm okay with that. So I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself in case my friend is the only one that's out alive and the new people here don't know who you are. And that'll give me time to calm down.
Yeah, no, that's good. I am Terrell Monger, senior pastor of One Accord International here in Memphis. I'm a playwright. I'm an author. I produce music, and I bring partridges and pear trees. I just do whatever I can to influence. My passion and what I believe God put me here to do was to impact the culture. To wake up the dreams and passion inside of other people so they can stop pretending and start performing on what's inside of them. So, yeah, so anything that I can use to get people's attention or to just inspire them and spark them, I dabble in it. So that's me in a nutshell.
And y'all now understand with that introduction why he's back in the light room, back in this space where we educate, we empower, and we equip. So definitely the right person for the job. And I'm glad again that you were able to come back in and share space with us. And so because again, in the Baptist church, we say time has been far well spent. Ain't no preliminaries over here. We about to get right into this conversation. Okay. Right into this conversation. And so, you know, not to even be scripted because I don't really like that. I just got some questions that'll help me flow into this thing. And before this happened, I had an opening. I had all the things. But I do want to open up and ask you this. I've seen your passion for a long time. And we talked earlier about when we first met each other. And so when I first met you in Memphis at the community center, in Hickory Hill Community Center, you had just started pastoring and you were having Bible studies from there. I don't even know like where I even found you from, actually. I don't remember where I found you from, but I'm so glad I found you because I was even there when you proposed to Tiffany. So that's it. I've been around a long time. I was right there when you proposed to Tiffany. So been around, but just like your passion, I follow your content from that moment to this one. And I just your passion, appreciate your passion for your community and for the Black community. If you can just open us up with what does that mean from your heart space? Why are you so passionate about it?
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, and I hear people introduce themselves, they say, you know, I'm pastor this, I'm bishop that. The reason I say I'm Terrell Monger, senior pastor of One Accord International, because senior pastor is what I do, is not who I am.
Mm.
I just happen to be a pastor. That was not a thought of mine. I grew up a church boy, but by the time I got 17, the church lost me. It was like, I thought everybody in here was, gonna be living differently than the people out there. And they pretty much lost me. And I spent years, look, I was pursuing my rap career, and but I was on one of those PET, poor righteous teachers tips. And then when the gangster phase came out and everybody started talking about this other stuff, the God in me just, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I walked away. But that passion to entertain and to create environments was still in me. So I wanted to create positive environments where families could come and kids could be encouraged. So when I moved to Atlanta, I started doing events. I started doing 3-on-3 basketball tournaments, video game tournaments, poetry in the park, and they became pretty successful. And families would come out and churches would come out. And so they wrote an article about me in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution about this young guy who was doing street ministry. That ain't what I was doing. I wasn't doing street. I was just trying to have a good time in a way that God can be proud of what I'm doing on stage now, because he
Yeah.
wasn't proud of what I was doing at first. And from there, it was so many people coming out that people started calling into their churches to train their outreach team and their leadership team and their youth ministries. And it led me into coming back to Memphis, and I was hired as a pastor. And the church that I was hired as a pastor of, man, I should have stayed on the streets. I came into pastoring. I'm just thinking, oh yeah, everybody in church, they're gonna love the Lord and they're gonna, do everything they do as unto God. Boy, them folk was in that board meeting, cussing each other out, spitting in each other's face. I was like, man, I should have stayed on the street, because
My
y'all
God, today.
ain't up in here. And so, and through several circumstances, I said, no, this pastoring thing ain't for me. So I quit. I stayed there 7 months and I quit. But the time that I was there, I made such an impact on a few families. They said, well, you're our pastor now. What do we do? And so that's how One Accord started. I wanted to create a safe place for people to grow, where we can use our talents and our gifts and not be bound by traditional church measures and standards in operation. And we just brought together a group of people that were crazy enough to do some things that started shifting the culture. So I'm more passionate about that now. When you see the passion in me, it's because I believe God sent me back to Memphis to help to change the culture. And I've been doing this back in Memphis. I've been back in Memphis for about 20 years now. And I'm just now starting to see some of the changes that I believe were possible when I came. So I'm in that though we tear and wait for it season, because at least now it's starting to come to pass.
Yeah, man. That's a story, right? And I don't think, you know, where I come, I'm used to hearing I was called to preach. You know what I'm saying? That was everybody's story, that they was called to preach. And then, as per your description, sometimes you walk in there and realize, I don't know who called you, sir. So it's not very often that you hear somebody saying that was their, how they journeyed into becoming a pastor, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you even said that, a pastor,
I
because it
was
makes
writing songs and I was in a singing group. I just was doing all kind of stuff. And it's like God was orchestrating things to where people were responding to my voice. And
yeah,
I never forget this guy. After I got through singing with my group, since I wrote all the songs, I would introduce them. And one time we got through singing, it was an all white church. It was like 10,000 people in there. And the guy came in and he says, can you come back to my church Sunday? And I said, well, let me get with the rest of the guys and see if they're available. He said, no, I want you. I want you to come preach at my church. And I was like, sir, I don't preach. I don't do that. He said, listen, just come tell them what you told us and God will use you. And that was my first time preaching. It was half comedy show. It was half inspiration. But I grew up in church. I know the word. My mama was a minister. My uncle was a pastor. I come from a long line of pastors. So I knew the word and I was just sharing. I didn't look at one note. And after we got through, standing ovation, everybody was clapping and oh my God. And because black people shout at the end, white people give you standing ovation. It's a different thing. Different crowd.
And I learned that in Memphis.
Yeah, different crowd. And so and he came and he said, man, how is it that you went through this whole sermon and you didn't look at one note? And then I realized God had hidden some treasures inside of me. I didn't need no notes. All I needed was a what looked like Nas said, one mic. Give me one mic and we're gonna turn this thing up.
Man, that's good. That's good. Because what's in you gonna come out of you, right?
Yes.
And that includes the love you have for your family, friends, community, whatever that looks like. Whatever's in you is gonna have to come up out of you. So thank you for sharing that, because you don't really hear people who are pastors or preachers say that they kind of, got led into it versus being called into it. And, either way, and I just believe I was on TikTok live last night and was talking to this guy out of some parts of Tennessee. And I think he's Catholic. He was Catholic, but he was just saying how he left the church and just, his experience with that. And it's so unfortunate. We're gonna talk about deconstructing a little bit, but before we get there, right now, I'm gonna ask this question as both a pastor and a playwright. How do you use storytelling to address like community trauma and spark healing, or is that something that's a part of the way you write?
Yeah, and I really learned this unconsciously. I had this Uncle Willie. Uncle Willie drove a 1976 Nova SS. It was black. He was the coolest dude. All he wore was leather coats. He was the coolest dude in the world, but he was a drunk. He'd get drunk and everybody was scared of him. I mean, they jumping out of windows getting out of Uncle Willie way. Then Uncle Willie got saved. Uncle Willie got saved, and it was just so amazing to me. He used to come sit on my granddaddy's porch, and he'll sit down in the chair, cross his leg, and drink coffee and just tell stories. And so even though he wasn't talking to us, all the kids in the neighborhood just used to sit and watch Uncle Willie tell stories. And that just got in me. If you can tell a story, it's better than a sermon. It's better than a lecture. It's better than a classroom. If you can hold people with a story, you can wake up their spirit. So I found that the ways that I put stuff in plays and in books, it reached people harder than sermons did. So I learned how to just create different characters based on points that I wanted to make, brought them to life so people could see them and respond to them, and the stories will stick. A story means nothing if it don't stick. If you sit up and talk to somebody for 5 minutes and you don't remember nothing they said, that was just a waste of time and a waste of air. Something in that story should stick.
Yeah.
And I have a dream of being that old dude on the porch, telling stories. Pull up a chair. Let me tell you something. So I just believe it allows me to lose myself and my opinions and my perspective into a story that helps people, because it's not about giving me attention. It's about giving you some passion. So that's why I am.
Listen, the voice done got strong, y'all. He slid in there, but it's in him, right? It's in him. The voice done got strong. And I hear people say that to me sometimes when I talk about what I do when it comes to mental health. And I appreciate the feedback, right? Because that, like you said, that's what matters, what stick with people. And so to know that when I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about, that's what people feel, that's what people hear. They say, well, I know you love it because every time you talk about it, like you just light up and it just kind of flows out of you. And I'm at home like, really? Is that what you're saying? So it's gonna come out. And I'm glad that. And so part of it being Uncle Willie, like, how did you come into being a playwright?
Well, now this is crazy how it came about. When I first started pastoring, well, not when I first started, because I had to leave them crazy folks. When I first started One Accord, it just caught on like wildfire. Like you said, you don't know what brought you, but people that I didn't even know was coming to our Bible studies, and it was going well. And I was in the middle of writing my relationship book, Something She Can Feel. I wrote the book because that's the first argument I ever won with my wife. She was my girlfriend then, but I won this argument. I said, baby, there's a book right here. I know. And so And I released the book, and we were getting ready for the conference, and commercial was running on TV and the radio and everything. And all of a sudden, I get a call from my friend who I used to rap with, Taylor, the one who do the song "Girls in the Club Showing Love." That's me and him used to rap together back in the day.
Oh,
And I get a call from him. He said, "Man, you just wrote a book." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Man, my wife saw your commercial, and she wanted to know if you would do marriage counseling for us." I said, "Okay, this is interesting. I know your past. I know I know all the bones buried. You sure you want me?"
you sure you want me?
Yeah, but I got a chance to really talk to him and talk to his wife, and I used some of the principles that I put in the book, and it really landed well, and it made him drop all his formalities and just be honest with me about where he was. His rap career wasn't going the way he wanted it to go. He was trying to find out what's his next phase of life. And then he said, "Man, I don't know what to do." He said, I want to do some positive things, but ain't no money in it. And I said, "Brother, listen, give me an opportunity. I'm going to write a stage play about me and your life. And we're going to put this on. You're going to do the stage play with me. And we going to, I'm going to show you how you can be impactful and still make a living." Well, I wrote the stage play, and it was called "Use Me Until You Use Me Up." And we had 4 sold out performances. Everybody was loved. It was a hip opera. He rapped in it. I rapped in it. It was phenomenal. And so the very last show that we did, he invited his manager out, and his manager saw the response of the crowd and everything it was, and they signed him to a new management contract. His career took off again, and I ain't hear from that joker no more. but but it woke up a gift that I didn't know I had. And since he was gone and we couldn't do that play together no more, and my book was doing so well, I wrote a stage play off my book, "Something She Can Feel," dealing with the emotional needs of women and how men use them to manipulate them. And it was a hit. It was a hit. I think we did like 6 shows. We did 4 at the church. It was 200 people at each show. We said we got to get a bigger facility. We did it at the Lander Center, sold out 2 shows there, and we ended up doing it at the Cannon Center. So it was just big. And so it opened up a gift that I didn't know I had. But as a storyteller, that worked for me. It takes somebody else months to write a stage play. It took me 3 days. You know what I mean? I just had everything that I wanted to say, and I created characters to fit it and scenarios, and everybody loved it. So that's how I came out.
Wow. Wow. And I love that's how things come to you, right? And again, is always going to be from what's already in you and what's
Yes.
already in you. And I want to use that to bring up to the next question as we journey into community and to the youth of the community and the impact and all those things and how lifeless some of the youth seem. Because you said at 17 the church lost you. You was out of there. And then when you try to come back, they lost you again because the folks was wilding. So, a hope deferred makes the heart sick. So these children don't feel like, there's not even just the children, Pastor Terrell. I have adults on my timeline.
Yeah.
You understand? I have adults on my timeline. And sometimes there's no hope there, right? There's nothing to look forward to. So with that, what does it really look like to be a community leader in the city of
Yes.
Memphis or cities like Memphis, Chicago, Detroit, things like that? But specifically Memphis, what does it really look like from a pastor's point of view, father, community activist, all the things to be a leader in Memphis?
You have to strongly believe in something. It has to be it cannot be something you want to try. It has to be something you believe. Like, I really believe that the culture of Memphis can change. So every gift, everything that I do is because I don't care if people can say that's just the way things are. That's not how I see it in my head. So I talk to you like I believe you can change. I write my songs or write my music or prepare sermons because I really believe you can change. Because I think the stagnation in people come is because we've gotten addicted to the opinions of others.
Yeah.
Everybody's opinions is based on their own limitations. So if I have a limitation, that's the advice I'm going to give you. And if you don't have a passion stronger than my limitations, my opinion is going to change your mind. Just think about it. We got all of these average people telling Tyler Perry he need to make new type of movies. This man is a billionaire. His movies keep ending up at #1, but all the broke opinions think they're right. How arrogant is it of you to think an opinion that you have that didn't work for you is what you're supposed to give to somebody else? So until we get freed, and that's actually the third book that I wrote, That's Not My Fight, freedom from the opinions of others. You will never find your own, get past your own limitations until you free yourself from the opinions of others. Because if you don't notice, man, people's opinions change all the time.
All the time.
And that's why the Bible says you're going to be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. It should have said you're going to be tossed to and fro by all these opinions. Even though their opinion don't work for them.
Even though it don't work for them.
That's why it frustrates me when I see all these single people giving marriage advice. I get it. You have thoughts, but stop acting like if it's not working for you, your word is, it's, if anything, let it be a suggestion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Don't act like you know when what you know is not working for you.
Hey, I learned two things. I learned. I don't tell men how to be men, and I have a son. When the man and my son show up, I go over there and mind my business because I'm his mama. I don't know nothing about that. You might have to call your daddy. And I don't give married people marriage advice. I don't. And I was telling somebody this the other day. I have two very close friends from childhood. One is a family member actually, and we've been friends we've been friends since birth probably. And she's married. I can't tell you two things about that marriage except she looks happy and well taken care of.
Is it?
And I'm talking about we close. I can't tell you two things other than he and she, not just her, but they both look happy and well taken care of. And so did my other friend. And so I listen, whatever they doing over there, it works. But you're right about the opinions of others. And then when you think about community, places like Memphis, I learned a lot working in Memphis. I know when I first started working there, I'm gonna be honest, I had to go downtown to the river every evening when I got off work. Okay, I had to go downtown to that river and just because some of the things that I had heard, I had seen, but then there were other things that I knew. Number one, I'm not from here. You don't get to judge these people and their experience or anything like that. The position I was in was to serve and support, and for myself personally to learn what I could, right? And so the thing about Memphis, and any city can say that, but we talking about Memphis. You got to be from Memphis to understand Memphis, to know Memphis, right? And so if Memphis would just start talking the right way to each other, man, there's so much good stuff in Memphis. There's so much good stuff in Memphis. I have seen a lot of talented young people, middle-aged, senior people come through my offices, my time working in Memphis. And it's just like, and part of the reason that I do what I do professionally came from just me observing Memphis, right? At one point I was serving the client base. And then I started serving the employee base. Being in different meetings about meetings, right? The people up top like to have meetings about meetings. And so when I'm listening, I'm like, hold on. The people have the need. The business have the needs. What's missing is this middle part right here.
That's right.
Y'all saying the same things, but you're not coming together. You're not connecting. And I think that is the biggest missing piece in community.
Yeah.
And a lot of opinions, listening to outside opinions.
And I'll tell you this is my observation. Like I'll start off by saying this. I believe the best way to recognize humility is always considering the fact that you could be wrong. That's humility to me.
I like that.
And mediocre people, it's hard to teach them because they think they know everything. But people with a mind of excellence can switch from being the teacher to the student at any given moment. And you have to recognize that. See, when I went to Atlanta, it was easier for me. I grew up in Memphis. I mean, and at the church, the best thing they were gonna do at the church is let me be a junior deacon. It was like there's no growth here. I don't want to sit on the front row and tap my feet. I'm capable of more than that. But
Yeah.
when I went to Atlanta, I realized only 20 at the time, only 20% of the people in Atlanta were from Atlanta.
Mm-mm.
Everybody else migrated there looking for success. So they were more open to ideas. And they was like, this young dude got something. Let's follow him. So
Mhm.
they were open to new things and new concepts. So one day I was sitting at home watching CNN, and there was a shooting here in Memphis at Jeter Junior High. One kid getting hauled up in an ambulance, one kid getting hauled up in a police car. And I felt the call of God to come back to Memphis. When
Wow.
I came back to Memphis, what I saw was at the time, 95% of the people in Memphis had never left Memphis. So if they see you doing something new, their first thought is, if I've never done it, what make you think you can do it? So you have to fight with the people you're trying to help in order to fight for them.
Mm.
So hard trying to get them to believe that it's possible that the time you get to the real fight, your self-esteem has been damaged. You unsure. You looking for somebody's approval. So you cannot wait. You got to just start running and see who follow you. Because
Mm.
another thing Memphis got a problem with, we'll check in a minute. We'll check in a minute. We'll be like, you got some nice clothes. You fresh, ain't it? You about to go to your grandma's house, ain't it? They'll just start checking you.
We
But
they will,
that,
man.
yeah, but that Memphis checking makes us have a city full of people with low self-esteem. They say that's normal, but what it's doing, you walking in looking at your clothes, thinking who's gonna check you, and you ain't thinking about what's in your mind to see who's gonna bless you. You see what I'm saying? See, I'm of the person, whatever I got on, it's cool because I got it on. I'm me.
Come on.
You remember that Ludacris song? How you ain't gonna cut? Girl, I'm me. I'm the reason that you up in the VIP. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So
Okay.
I'm me. Whatever I got on, if you don't like it, buy me another one. If you ain't gonna buy me another one, go on about your business. And you gotta have that level of confidence to move things forward, or Memphis will talk you out of it. You will have the best idea going, but their self-esteem is based on their limitations. And if you listen to them, you'll only go as far as them.
Wow. Wow. That's right and good. That's right and good. And that's where I get kind of like when you think about traditions. And so just in my own journey, learning to pass down truth over traditions. And checking is a tradition. Mississippi ain't no better, right? you know, Mississippi ain't no better. You better come correct or they gonna get you. You
Yeah.
and your mama and everybody else that they can think about can get it. Everybody can get it. But you're right, as a child, it may seem funny at the time, but internally that really does cause a lot of damage. And a lot of people may not say it, but look at the lifeline. It's gonna show you believe some parts of it, your life is a reflection of it. And we
Yes.
don't want to always accept that and acknowledge that as a truth. And so at some point, I don't know how you do that well, unless you become a comedian, but then by then, like you got to be grown or whatever. I don't know. Kev on
Yeah.
stage, but no, even then he checks the church. But
Yeah.
I don't know how we change that narrative per se, where you still kind of like, because to them it's like we just having fun. You making fun of somebody's well-being or whatever. I don't know how that's fun.
Let me tell you this now, because my wife, her family, all they do is check. They do. And
He be checking shows.
I was bold enough. Like my wife, she'd be like, "Oh, look at my little big head, baby." I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, don't do that."
Yeah.
And she thought I was acting funny. And I explained to her, baby, it's so many cold words out there in the world. We need nice ones in here. Every beautiful word you could. That's what we need in order to be able to fight out there. So my kids don't check each other. We don't check each other. We use nice words, and then so much to the point. We was with our family, and all them was checking and all of this, and one of the cousins said something to me, and I said, "Ho, bro, wait a minute." And it was a uncomfortable thing in the it was uncomfortable thing in the family. I said, you do realize ain't no millionaires in this room, right? You do realize you got warehouse workers in here. Y'all need to be reading books more than y'all need to be checking. Y'all need to be filling out applications more than y'all need to be. It made the whole house uncomfortable. But guess what? When I go around, they don't check no more.
Yeah.
Y'all can say what y'all want to say. Y'all just ain't gonna say it to me.
And I'm with it.
What it does is you have to create an atmosphere. You know how the Bible says, where two or more are gathered in my name, I'm in the mix. How can God be in the mix of something opposite than love? Mm-hmm. So if I want you to be the best that you can be, if I say, you country, you can't talk, and it's time for you to go to an interview, who in your voice? Getting the job, or me telling you country and you can't talk? See, those little small things make a difference. Do I have fun? Absolutely. I have a good time with the people around me, but I'm not going to check you. You're not going to check me. We're going to find the best words we can to inspire and uplift each other, because I want you to go as high as you want to go. And I don't want my words to come up at the wrong time and make you think you can't be there.
Wow. Truth versus tradition.
Yeah.
This is how we change the trajectory, right? This is how we change and shift the atmosphere. And to some people, it might be like, and even that, again, that stronghold, if you will, that's stuck. Well, it don't take all that. It ain't that serious, blase. Yes, it is. And I tell my team members this, my at work, I have a parental lens. When I view situations, especially when it involves people, the best way I can see, explain, and understand anything is from a parent-child relationship or just a parental responsibility relationship. And so you have a certain amount of time. You have levels of influence and impact. When you're in leadership, like a community leader, a pastor, a minister, or anything, teacher, police officer, whatever the case may be, like you're in the place of authority. And with that authority comes a great responsibility. When people look at you, they should want to stand up straight. They should want to go the right way. They should want to say the right thing, do the right thing, not in a way that, oh, I'm scared of you or this, but as a reflection for how you live, for how you are. And that's how we're going to stop. When you don't, like you said, if you don't have something that you strongly believe in, what's the point?
That's what drives you. And I joke with my church all the time. They get it now, though. At first, and let me tell you this. If I'm in the room, you ain't finna make me uncomfortable. Everybody in this room gonna be uncomfortable before I be uncomfortable.
That part.
I mean that. But I used to joke about church all the time. And I said, everybody needs at least one good judgmental friend. Because it's that one good judge. If you had that one good judgmental friend, you wouldn't be in the trouble you in. That good judgmental friend gonna keep you married. It's gonna keep you out of jail. It's gonna help you save your money. You need one person that keeps you tied to the best you can be and not give you excuses to be the worst you can be. You need that one good friend, and I'm him. We can laugh about it. We can talk about it. I'll be like, bro, your wife wants you home at 9. Don't you be trying to prove nothing to me. I need you to go home. I'm going to be that friend that reminds you what is right. You ain't got to do it, but you can't say you wasn't reminded.
I told a lady that today. Our office is connected to some other spaces, and I knew what she was looking for just by her nonverbal body language. And I was like, keep going that way. And girl gets out the car and still ain't listen to what I said. I said, ma'am, I know what you're looking for. Keep on going. It's round the way. It's round the way. Yeah, it's necessary. And that has been, I used to get teased for that, right? Like some people, like my family, because I used to work in law enforcement too. So they don't tell me nothing. And I like it like that. I like it like that to an extent, but they know not to tell me because listen, I ain't gonna jump nobody, right? And I ain't listen. I'm gonna tell you what it is. Don't put yourself in no situation and then come to me. But some of them they don't even tell me things. They don't even come near me with certain stuff, and that's okay. But if you do, and again, fruit inspections, like righteous fruit inspections. If like you just said, some people will call it judgmental, but I call it fruit inspection.
Yeah.
Honey, you're not putting out apples. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Your seeds are not growing. And as the old folks say, your slip is showing. And I need you to get that together. And you need that person in your life to do that. But you know what we call them now, Pastor?
What's
Life
that?
coaches.
And that's it. And I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. You saying what you're saying. My friends back in the day, they used to call me Dudley Do Right, But here's the crazy thing. But
Right.
it wasn't because I always did what was right. It was because I was willing to admit when I was wrong. That's why they called me Dudley Do Right. Because I remember, I never forget, we was in the back of the car, all us smoking weed, we passing the joint around, just riding. And then I stopped and said, man, I bet God looking at us right now. I wonder what he thinking. They're like, man, go on with that mess, man. Go on. It's just admitting that I can do better than this.
Yeah.
It's that constant. If you playing basketball, don't you want to play against the best players? Don't you want players to make you shoot better shots and dive for loose balls and find your best game? If you want it on a basketball court, why don't you want it in life? You want teammates that make you better. When you run in a race, the fastest you're gonna run is when you run into the fastest person. I want to be the person that even if I don't win, I push you to run faster than you ever could.
Wow. That's it. That is it. And you can't lose with that type of winning on your team. Okay. You can't lose with that type of winning on your team. And with that, Pastor Terrell, I can't help but think about families and the impact that families play. Because all that we're talking about, you come out of a family somewhere. Like a lot of this behavior is learned at home, seen at home, modeled at home. And so when a child goes out into the street, even as an adult, and some people don't like to admit it, you're just older in age, but in mentality, in traumatic response, you're the same age that checking happened, that traumatic experience happened, that downplay in your skills happened. A lot of times I see that in families, parents, a lot of times unintentionally,
Yeah.
a lot of times unintentionally. And if we had to go all the way back through history, I looked at a couple of things earlier, all the way back in history, like this is not new. This is not new. And one thing that I saw earlier was that in the 1960s, with in the 1960s, how they were the youth were against the police. That one line, it was the youth, and they said thousands of people died. And I was like, wait, was this 1960 or 2025? The way we're seeing RIP on young people, I think I've seen maybe 3 high school students, 3 to 5, that graduated in 2024. RIP. Last couple of days. RIP. You, baby, you just went outside. Baby
Yeah.
just had prom. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it comes from home, comes from family, and a lot of and the greater reason that I do the work that I do, you have your own personal experiences, but I want it to get back in the home. The things that we said earlier about changing the narrative at home. What are we saying to parents, right? What are we
Yeah.
saying to parents about sending our children out into the community, city of Memphis, with better mindsets?
Yeah. My tagline that I use now more than ever is family is the fix. I believe that. And and to take it a step further, we need grown folk to be grown folk. If all the grown people are trying to be young and relevant, who gonna teach the young people how to be grown and responsible? We got to get back to what the Bible says: the old men shall dream dreams, and the young men shall see vision. And that's how he was gonna pour out his spirit. So whether I like it or not, no matter what I want to be cool or not, I got this stuff right here now. So I got to transfer into the old dreamer so I can help the young visionaries. We can't have the old folk jealous of the young folk and the young folk disrespecting to the old folk and think we're gonna have a healthy community. We have to allow ourselves to. I said it to you before we started. If you don't have a vision of where you want to go, you're gonna get stuck where you are. You have to have an idea. So I want to be a young person's idea of where he can go. I want you to see me playing with my kids. I want you to see my beautiful wife. I want you to see me compliment her. I want to share. We going on vacation. I ain't bragging. I'm promoting happy marriage. And I want you, the Bible said you're supposed to live in such a way that people come and say, what must I do to be saved? I want people to come to me and say, man, what must I do to have that type of joy, that type of happiness? Now, do me and my wife have problems? Yes, we have problems, but we both agree that our partnership has purpose. And we dare not let what God called us to be fall out because somebody wants the temperature on 75 and somebody wanted it on 80. No, no.
Ooh, it's warm over there, Pastor.
Man, look, man, if my wife had her way, it'll be 80 degrees. I'd be trying to go to 73. She'd be going to 78. I'd be like,
Ooh,
gee,
first lady.
like
She trying to turn the people into a baked potato.
yeah. But so I have to realize that every part of my life is ministering to somebody. What is it saying? What is it saying? My marriage is saying something. How I interact with my kids is saying something. How I interact with my friends is saying something. My uncle used to say this. He used to say, everybody is somebody's favorite person. There are people that can hear me that can't hear nobody else. There are people that can hear you and can't hear nobody else. And God said, we're going to be held responsible for every careless word that came out of our mouth. That's scary when you think about it. You're going to be held responsible for every. I was just playing, but look what it did to their life. Oh, I didn't mean to. I don't care what you meant to do. Look what it did. Because you were mean to your wife, he went to jail for abusing his. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So everything we do, we're all connected. And until we take ownership, and I don't know if you saw the new movement I started here in Memphis, it starts with me. The me is big, MPHIS is small. Whatever Memphis is going to be is what I choose to be. And I can't tell none of these young folks, you need to pull your pants up. You need to do this. You need to do that. If I'm not disciplining my own life, I can't tell you about yours.
Yep.
If I'm gonna be judgmental, which I'm gonna be, I gotta realize that I can't talk about the speck in their eye when I got a big plank sitting in mine. Terrell, you're not perfect, but you better give perfection a run for his money. You know,
That's it.
so but I don't just do it for me. I do it for the kids watching me. How can I tell a young man be good to my daughter and I'm not good to her mama?
Yep.
Come on, man. Oh, I love my daughter. I want her to have a good man. Were you a good man to your wife? Were you a good man to her mama? Look, I be telling married couples sometimes, even when y'all get married, y'all probably still need to go repent for what y'all did when y'all was single, because y'all just carried that perversion over to a piece of paper.
And
And
that's real talk.
yeah, and so what I say about Memphis is we have dumbed down stuff so much. And what the Bible say, when the enemy comes in like a flood, somebody got to lift up a standard. And we got to start lifting up standards. And it's not for us. I got a whole bunch of stuff that I could do and it would be okay. But I don't know who's going to be watching me. So I choose not to do it because I care that much about the generation coming behind me.
And that's what it's about. That's
Yeah.
mindset, ministry, right?
Yes.
Mentorship,
Yes.
mending, broken heart, mending, broken, perspectives, mending, broken relationship between the generations. And that comes from us realizing, and again, from the parent role, when I realize, baby, this is above me, beyond me, and not just about me, but it comes through me. Like I had a God-given responsibility at this point, not to be perfect, but if this person has to learn from me if I get 18 years to teach you, and then who knows, like how much access I could have after that, I wanted to be very intentional with those 18 years,
Yes.
being as present as possible for as long as possible. And my daddy said, you want to know how much good of a parent you was, when your kids get grown, they come back to you, that'll let you know. And if they never come back, you might want to ask yourself some questions.
And let me tell you this. I looked at a documentary. I don't know if anybody saw this, but Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, all of them were great friends. But while they were playing the game, all of them wanted to be the best.
Mhm.
They wanted to be the best, and they went out there every night wanting to be the best. But they never hated each other. What if I wanted to be the best father and it inspired another father to be the best he can be, and we still friends? What if I wanted to be the best husband and it inspired another man to be the best husband he could be to his wife, and we're still friends? We're not competing with each other, we're pushing each other.
Yeah.
If we can be that in basketball and football, I want to be the best. I want to be the best. How can you want to be the best at a sport, but okay with being subpar as a husband, subpar as a father? Oh, it don't take all of that. You didn't say that on the court. You were diving that loose ball, going out there, rebound. You played your heart out, but get
Sweet.
home, yeah, and want to half do it. Well, who you supposed to spend the rest of your life with? No, no.
June is Men's Mental Health Month. And I'm
Yeah.
loving the accountability that's coming across social media to the men. You know, at one point I was like, I want to do something to help the men. The best thing I can do to help the men is to point them in the direction of men that's doing the work.
And it's okay. And see, the biggest thing is, I will admit, that's why I know you heard me talk about. I am honest about when I got my first divorce. Young man, immature, didn't know any better. Yes, I could spend all the world blaming her for this, that, and the other, but I gotta admit, I cheated. I gotta own that. And even my wife that I'm with now, when we went through a difficult spot in our marriage, I gotta admit, I could say all I want about. I gotta admit, I got so lost in being successful that I forgot I wasn't being a husband at home. I was so busy trying to show off my strokes, didn't realize my partner was drowning. So I
Wow.
am honest about my flaws, but if I'm honest about my flaws, I can at least be equally honest about my pursuit of perfection. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but doggone it, I'm trying.
That's it. That's it. And that's what it takes, right? When we
Yeah.
talk about community, when we talk about relationships, it takes these type honest conversation. You know, Ray Henderson in Memphis is doing work. And he's been on the podcast as well. And we used to be in ministry together at New Direction. So he's doing, you know, his level of work and bringing men into the barbershop space, into his podcast space as well. And they're breaking these molds and having these conversations, you know. And I'm glad to see it. Again, June is Men's Mental Health Month, but we need the presence, right? And I don't think, yeah, there's something worse. One of the worst things, experiences I think you can have is have a physically present father who is emotionally absent.
Yeah.
You just in the room, you just at the house.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of the older generation, that's kind of what it looked like. And so some of the men modeled that behavior. But at some point, like you said, you have to realize I don't want to carry this same type of pain. I don't want to make my children feel what I felt with that
Yeah.
physical presence and emotional absence. Because look at
Yes.
what it did to you. You know, we love to say, well, look at how I turned out.
Yeah.
No, let me
But
ask some people that's around you how you turned out.
exactly.
Let
And
me
and
ask them.
that's why it's not enough for you to just have a dream for yourself. You got to have a dream for your spouse. You got to have a dream for your kids. What make me emotionally invested in my kids is I don't want them to. You can't fix everything, but I don't want them to reach back into their childhood and let a pain from that place keep them from growing up. Because as humans, we stop growing in the place that we get hurt. Wherever we get hurt, that's why you got some people. You can get your heart broke in the 10th grade, and you 50 years old still talking about it if you never got over it. If you don't heal, you stop growing in the place that you got hurt. So I want my children to believe the possibility. So me spending time with them, yes, it makes me feel good to be a father, but I believe I'm clearing a path for their future. You got to have, if anything is in your life, that thing needs to have a purpose. You might have a partner, they might be your shopping partner. One might be your basketball playing partner. But they got to have a purpose, because anything that doesn't have a purpose causes procrastination. You got Everything has to have a reason in your life. If not, you're gonna slow yourself down.
You're gonna slow yourself down. Wow.
Or we just hanging together. But what are they? Because everybody that come in your life, check this out. Everybody that come in your life brings something. And everybody that leave your life takes something. We got people that left, they took our self-esteem with it, and we never got it back. They took our confidence with them. And so you got to pay attention. What are these people bringing into my life? You won't let nobody come into your house with a dead dog? So you can't come into my life with one. I didn't what
Still
you got.
can't come in my house with no dead.
I didn't know what you bring with you because I'm trying to protect the peace that I've created.
Yeah.
Because I believe that happiness is not something you find, it's something you create. It's your responsibility. Everybody's responsible for their own happiness. There's too much power to give to somebody else.
That is true. That is very true. That is very true. Accountability, responsibility, awareness, presence, purpose,
Yeah,
intentionality.
yeah,
That's how we change the trajectory of our community.
that's it.
That's how we're going to build stronger relationships. And in Memphis, it starts with me.
Yep. And in Memphis, I'm trying to get people to understand we gotta start with family. We have to start. If we don't have healthy families, what a kid's gonna get any sense of belonging from? And better families create better communities. Better communities create better cities. Better cities create better states. You got so many people now, they don't even want to get married. I'm not saying everybody's supposed to be married, but don't talk bad about it.
Yeah.
Don't act like it's a cancer
Yeah.
because the two-parent household is the quickest way out of poverty. Health and partnership is the quickest way out of poverty. And if we've killed the thought of that institution, it's going to be hard for us to reel this thing back in.
And it saddens me
Yeah.
that systemically that's been put in place for a long time. And traditionally, we continue to answer that call.
Yeah.
But I believe in family. I grew up in family. I've only known family. I've only seen family. I'm adamant about family for all the reasons you said, and I believe that like people don't just pop up from somewhere. They came from home.
Yeah.
And where was home? What does home look like? And like you said, if you're not going to get married, don't tear down the people that are married. And if you have children, right, make it your business to co-parent so well that child don't even realize you live in two different homes.
Yeah. I had to turn the corner. Um, we had been apart 20 years because I was always great with my kids. I was with them every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I picked them up on Wednesday, took them to Bible study with me, but they got older and it was a strain on our relationship. And I realized the strain on our relationship is because their mother hated me, right? And so I had to realize that if you really love your kids, take care of their mother's heart. I had to come to her and apologize for every wrong I did without saying, well, I did this because you did that and you wouldn't have did that. No, listen, if I could change it all, I would. I don't know how long it's going to take you, but please forgive me for the pain that I caused you. Me and my kids from my first marriage, our relationship now is wonderful
Good.
because I mended their mother's heart and it mended our relationship.
Y'all hear that, guys? So, June is Men's Mental Health Month, right? And I know. Sometimes she be wilding out. I know. And girl, listen, stop. Okay, just stop. I know you thought y'all was gonna whatever. Just stop. My
And
mother
it
would
was
tell
easy.
us,
It wasn't
huh?
easy. I ain't gonna tell me and it was easy. I had to
Oh,
bite my tongue till I had a hole in it.
listen, I tell my son all the time and my cousins, baby, you gonna have to bite a couple of bullets, and I do mean a couple of bullets. You gonna, and that's just what it is. I have to tell my, and that's me being honest. You have to bite a couple of bullets. You might even choke a little bit, but you're gonna be fine. That's just what it is. My mother would tell us as kids, that's your father. You have a relationship with him, that's gonna be up to you, but you will respect him. And
Yeah.
my father would say to me when I became a parent, my father never said anything bad about any of, of my mother or my siblings' mother. And my father would tell me as a parent, a young parent, I was 18 when I had my baby. You know, some days I want to wild out just a little bit now. Just a little bit now. Because, I mean, hey. But my daddy said, you never speak bad about that boy's daddy. Because whatever you say to him about his daddy, you're saying it about him. Watch your mouth. And that carried me. And it still carries me to this day. And I was telling somebody that the other day, social, like between me and my son's father, we got an issue. We call each other. We got each other's phone number. Yeah. Like, we're going to talk about it. All that public display of animosity, I don't play that. I don't play that game. Because at the end of the day, that's our child. And we're his greatest example. We're his first example.
And I'm going to say this last thing. This is what I tell men, because I get it. You want to talk about your baby mama. You want to talk about all the stuff she did. And this is what I tell them. I said, do you want to be heard or do you want to be healed? If you keep telling that story, you're going to keep living it. On talking to somebody, talk to a therapist. Look, even Jesus didn't die on the cross till he stopped talking. If you wanted to die, stop talking about it. If you want to, do you want to be heard or do you want to be healed? You got to choose, because every time you talk about her, you really living that thing all over again.
That is so good. Man. See, we don't need no questions. It flows over here in the light room. It flows over here in the light room. And that's why I love that we do what we do. In all parts of our life where things affect us in such a way is part of mental health. And this series was dedicated to relationships as a whole from all aspects. And, you know, I know you're really big in the community there in Memphis. And I know it's not easy changing mindsets, because that's generations. But if you can impact one person, then you've already impacted an entire generation. So thank you for the work that you do and the way that you serve and continue to serve. Congratulations on the plays, the book. Like, you got one that's coming up, right?
I got a movie getting ready to come out in August. Get ready. Yeah.
Listen, y'all follow Pastor Terrell Monger, right? And if you live in Memphis, make sure you're connected. Y'all, it can happen. As I close, in Memphis, a young man from South Memphis was telling me part of his story and how he ended up in the situation in my chair. And so I just asked this young man, he was from South Memphis. And I said, do you think, and I asked him because he was young and, you know, just based on his, sounds like he came from a good household, but like he lived in Memphis and he was young. I said, do you think things could ever get better in Memphis? Like, do you think things will change? And he took a deep breath. And that 20-something-year-old young man said, yep, it's going to take a lot of work and a long time, but yep.
Let's do it.
I believed it because he believed it. When that young man, 20-something, said, yep, I believe it. So you keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on being a nerd because it pays. It pays more. It pays better.
Be a nerd. That pay is so much better.
Yeah, be a nerd. The pay is so much better. So continue to be inspired. Continue to be inspiring, and continue, you know, just showing up the way that you do. Thank you to you and your family for serving the way that you do, and for allowing this time and this space, navigating over here to the light room. So my mama and my moderator enjoyed the conversation. They were here with us. Shout out to my moderator Chandria and my mama for being in this space. But anytime you need anything from me, if I'm in the city.
Thank you for even having me in mind. Look, it's been I know it's been a good 14 years since we met. Thank you for keeping me in mind. Thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome. I was looking for an email the other day, and I saw that I was working at Maximus, I think. And they was looking for a speaker. And I was like, oh, Pastor Terrell. And I sent you that email asking you to come to the thing. So yeah, man, I'm always, again, being in those meetings, hearing the challenges. And I'm like, wait, I know somebody that do that. I got somebody that do that. So I'm here for connecting the people to the resources. That's what I do. And you, sir, are a resource.
Thank you so much.
Memphis is definitely blessed. Thank you. I'm going to give you your time back and your night back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a good night.
How you too. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all for journeying over to YouTube. I don't know what's going on the other side, but we still were able to make this conversation happen. And it was a good conversation like I knew it would be. Follow Pastor Terrell Monger on Facebook. He probably has a YouTube. I know he has a TikTok. If you are, again, from Memphis, or if you, no matter where you're from, if you believe in the things that he talked about, if you believe in a better community, a better life, because it's going to take community. You can ignore what's going on all you want to, but at some point you're going to be directly impacted. So it's better to have some type of hand in it. That way you can also have some type of hand in the response or the results. But ignoring it does not make it better. It does not make it go away. I do believe in a better Memphis. I do believe in a bigger Memphis, regardless to what. Born and raised in Mississippi, but I love me some Memphis. All right. So thank you all for checking into the Light Room. This has been Mental Health Mondays. I love y'all. We're probably going to be over here because we're not be playing over there. All right. Good night.